I am Dr. M. Kasthuri, working as an associate professor in Bishop Weber College. I have more than 23 years of teaching experience in computer science field. Today we discuss some of the important concepts available in programming in Java, like class and objects, constructors, constructor overloading, copy constructor, this keyword, finalize method, and static data members. Now we discuss about class and objects. Class and objects is very essential concept in object-oriented programming language. Using classes, we can insert set of variables and methods. Here I give you syntax for creating a class. Class contains set of variables and set of methods. With the help of class, we can create set of variables and methods. In this piece of coding, here we see about class is created. Here add is nothing but class name. It is a user defined class name which consists of three variables a, b and c. Similarly, we can able to insert methods also. In this piece of coding, we can able to view how to create method inside the class. With the help of class, external class, we can add number of variables as well as number of methods. Suppose if you create external class, if you want to access these variables and methods in main class, at the time you need to create objects. With the help of object only, we can able to access variables and methods inside the class. For example, here in this part we have a syntax. There are two different types to create objects. Using two-line statement also we can able to create object. At the time, initially you need to specify class name and then you provide some of the space and you specify object name and semicolon in the first line. In the second line, you need to specify object name and then equal symbol. You should specify new keyword and then you provide some of the space. Finally, you specify class name along with parenthesis with a semicolon. Using this parse syntax, we can create object for a external class, as well as using this kind of the blue color line, which is helpful to create object for external class in a single line. For example, add is the class name, obj is the object name, and then you specify equal new keyword, then you provide some of the space and then write class name along with parenthesis. At the end of the part you need to specify semicolon. Using these two different syntax, we can create object for a class. Suppose if you want to access variables and methods inside the class, means at the time with the help of object only we can able to access. For example, here you consider this particular part of the coding. Add class created with obj object. Within add class, we have three different variables are available, A, B and C. If you want to initialize A variable and B variable in main class, at that time you need to specify object name dot variable name. Then only you can able to access or initialize or display external variable. Object name you need to specify. After that you need to specify dot symbol. Then variable name equal to 20. This part is helpful to access variables and methods available in external class. In main class, if you want to access variables and methods in external class, means at that time with the help of object only we can able to access that external class. Now we discuss about the example program. For example, in this piece of coding, here we have two different classes are available. One is add, other one is main class. In this main class, if you want to access add class, means at the time here in the main class you need to create object for add class. For example, when you consider this particular line is helpful to create object for add class. Then when the compiler execute this particular line, immediately control will switch over to execute this add class. In this add class we have three variables, A, B and C variable, and also here we have two different methods are available. One is assign, another one is a calc. Then control will switch over to execute this second line in main class obj.assign, because with the help of object only we can able to access external class methods. Therefore, when the compiler execute this particular line, immediately control will switch over to execute this part. Here this assign method is useful to initialize A variable and B variable. After that, control will switch over to execute the last line of main class obj.calc. Then control will switch over to execute this calc method. Here in calc method we have an expression C equal to A plus B. A value and B value added and the result will be stored in C variable. With the help of system.out.println we can able to get the result. That is why the result, the output displayed that 30 value. Here with the help of this single program we can able to understand how to create external class. Within this external class we have three variables ABC and two different methods are available. One is assign, another one is calc. We can able to access these variables and methods in main class, means we need to create object for this particular class and then object name dot method name only we can able to access these methods. This program is helpful to understand how to create class and objects, simply how to create class and objects in Java programming. Then next chapter, next concept is constructors. Constructors is nothing but suppose if you want to create one method as same as class name, means that is namely called constructors. Method name is equivalent to class name. There is no return type for constructors. It is used for dynamic initialization. There are two different types of constructor we can able to create. One is a default constructor, another one is parameterized constructor. When you consider this particular program, here we have two different classes are available. One is main class, one is add class, another one is main class. In this add class, we have two different methods are available. One is add, another one is dis. But here add is considered as a constructor because this method name as well as class name is same. Class name is same as constructor name. Before this constructor name, here we should not specify any return type. When you consider this particular method void dis, this method have data type, void return type, but add method did not have return type. When you want to create constructor, at that time you need not to specify, you should not specify any return type. First rule is, if you want to create a constructor means, first rule, class name is as same as constructor name, then immediately it is considered as a constructor, and constructor should not created with a return type. Therefore, before the add method, we should not specify any return type. When you create object for this external class add, for example, please consider this particular line. In this line, we create object for external class add. When the compiler execute this statement, immediately object create for add class, and simultaneously constructor is also initialized. Within this constructor, we initialize two different variables. C is equal to 10 and D is equal to 20. Here, when you create a constructor, at the time you need not to create object, or you need not to call this particular constructor explicitly with the help of object. When you create an object, immediately constructor will be called, and what are all the variables available in this variable initialized automatically. Now compiler will execute second statement obj.dis, because this is the normal method, this is not a constructor. If it is not a constructor, at that time with the help of object only, we can able to create, or we can able to access this method. But if it is a constructor means, with the help of object, we need not to create object for this particular constructor. This program is executed and provide the result as 30. Next concept is constructor overloading. Constructor overloading is nothing but we create class name and constructor name should be same. More than one constructor have same name with different parameters. For example, when you consider this class, here add is the class name, and there are three different constructors are created. First constructor name is add as same as class name. Second constructor name is also add as same as class name. We need to create more than one constructor, but each constructor name is as same as class name, then it is namely called constructor overloading. Here, first constructor did not have any parameter. This constructor is namely called default constructor. Second constructor is having two variables, one is int x, another one is int y. Third constructor have two variables, one is a float, another one is a integer variable. There are more than one constructor created, as same as class name, but with different types of parameters, means that is namely called constructor overloading. This particular piece of coding and program useful to understand how constructor overloading performs. There are two different classes are available. One is add, another one is the main. Here in this add class, we have two constructors are available. One is a default constructor. First constructor is namely called default constructor because class name as well as method name is same, but there is no parameter value, means that is namely called default parameters, default constructor, sorry. Second constructor is namely called parameterized constructor. Here also we have a same name. Class name is also add. Constructor name is also add, with the two different parameters are available. Float variable available in one constructor. Another constructor did not have any parameters. Hence, this class is performing constructor overloading, and also we have a normal method is available. Then with the help of main class, if we want to access external class add, means here with the help of this line you create object. Add is the class name, obj is the object name, then you need to specify equal and new symbol. There is space between new and add. After that, finally parenthesis semicolon should be specified. When you create this particular line, immediately default constructor, this class will be called, as well as default constructor available in this class add is executed. Within this default constructor, we have two different variables are available, C and D. These variables are initialized, and then compiler will come and execute this particular line. Here I create another variable for add class. Add obj1 equal to new. Add, within this parenthesis I initialize, I send some of the values 10.3f comma 20.4f. These two floating values sent to parameterized constructor. These two values sent to x and y variable. X and y values 10.3 and 20.4 sent to a and b variable. Next, control will switch out to execute this particular line, and when the compiler execute this line, immediately control will switch out to execute this particular method. Here we have two different SOPs are available. With the help of system.out.println, we can able to display what are all the variables available. The first expression is helpful to display default constructor values. 10 plus 20, 30. This value is displayed in output screen. Then 10.3 and 20.4 is added in C plus D variable and send it to that particular SOP, which displays 30.7. Actually, this output will not show the correct result. Actually, it shows 30.7. With the help of this particular program, we can understand how to create constructor and how to perform constructor overloading. If you want to create a constructor overloading, means you need to create more than one constructor as name is as name same as class name. Then only we can able to perform constructor overloading. The next concept is this keyword. This keyword is helpful to specify or helpful to understand. It can be used any method to refer the current object. For example, suppose instance variable and local variable is same variable. For example, instance variable is also x and y. Local variable is also x and y, means the local variable hides the external variable value. Some of the time we need to specify instance variable name as well as local variable name is same. At the time, this local variable hides the value of instance variable. At the time, we can use this keyword. With the help of this keyword, we can able to understand this is the local variable. This is the currently executed variable. We can able to understand. But in this piece of coding, I specified different types of variable. In order to understand this keyword, I specify instant variable as xy and local variable is or a and b. But in some of the cases, instant variable and local variable both are same name. This is also x and y. Local variables are x and y, means that time local variable xy hides the value of instance variable xy. That time we can able to understand, or the compiler can able to understand which one is the local variable. With the help of this keyword, compiler can understand this is the currently executed variable. Compiler can understand. Now we see about this keyword with the help of this particular program. Here we have one class which is a main class which contains only one variable x, and one constructor is executed here. Uh, why I specify this is the constructor, because method name as well as class name is same. That is why this is namely called constructor. It is also parameterized constructor because it contains one variable. This x is namely called instance variable. This x is namely called local variable. Uh, for example, here object is created for main class and send the value 5. Immediately this 5 value is sent to instance variable. Here instance variable is also 5, local variable is also 5. Hence compiler could not able to understand which one is the instance variable. And suppose if you specify x equal to x, at the time compiler cannot able to understand which one is the local variable, which one is the instant variable. That is why here in Java this keyword is very much helpful to understand which one is the currently executed variable, which one is the local variable. Then the 5 value is sent to local variable x. Then compiler will execute this particular line. Here we specify object name dot x. Object name dot x means local variable x has 5 value. That is why the result will be displayed as 5. Hope you can able to understand how this keyword works in Java programming. Next concept is final variables and methods. The final keyword in Java is used as a non-access modifier. The following are different contexts where the final is used. We can able to create a final variable, we can able to create final method, as well as we can able to create a final class. First part, how we can create final variable. For example, consider this particular coding. If you want to create some of the variable as a final variable, means before this variable you need to specify the keyword final. Then this variable pi is now converted into final variable. When you create a variable as a final final variable means that time you cannot change this value furthermore. Next one, how to create final class. Suppose if you want to create some of the class as a final class means at that time you create a class. Here add is the class name. If you want to convert this add class into final class means that time you need to specify final keyword before the class name. Now this class is converted as a final class. If it is a final class means you could not able to inherit this class furthermore. For example, consider this particular line final class add extends sub. In your program, suppose if you try to specify this line means it invoke some of the error because this is the final class, that is why you could not able to inherit this class with another class. That is why this particular line invokes some of the errors. If it is a final variable or final class or final method, further you could not able to change what are all the information available in these items. Next, how to create finalize method. Suppose if you want to create a finalize method means final method and finalize method both are different. If you create some of the method as a final method means what are all the items available in this final method could not able to change, but finalize method is different from final method. If you want to create a finalize method in Java means which is helpful to reclaimed by the garbage collector. It is acting like a destructor in C++. It is helpful to freeze up the memory resources. If you want to perform destructors, in Java there is no destructor concept, but which is indirectly achieved by finalize method. Next concept is copy constructor. Copy constructor means class name, and here we need to create a class name and constructor name should be same. We copy one constructor content to another constructor using copy constructor concept. This constructor can take only one parameter which is reference to an object of the same class. For example, here we have a syntax for how to create parameterized constructor, default constructor, how to create constructors within class. This particular piece of coding is helpful to understand how to create a constructor. This program is useful to understand how copy constructor working in Java programming. For example, fruit class contains two constructor. First one is constructor which contains two different parameter values. Second constructor is useful to copy the content from this first constructor. For example, when the first line executed, immediately control will switch over to execute constructor with two different parameter values 399 and ruby roman grapes. These two values are sent to f price and f name. Here these are all the instant variables. These are all the local variables. Instant variables and local variables are same, hence compiler cannot able to understand. With the help of this keyword it can able to understand. That is why this dot f price equal to f price, this dot f name equal to f price I specified. With the help of this keyword compiler can understand which one is the local variable, and immediately control will switch out to execute these two SOPs. F1 dot show name means this particular method will be called, and which returns 399. F1 dot show name means ruby roman graves displayed. Then F1 dot show price means at that time 399 will be displayed. Then with the help of this particular line, I copy the content from one constructor value to another constructor value. For example, fruit is the class name, F2 is the another object name, and after that you specify equal to new symbol, then you specify space fruit. Within this parenthesis I specify F1, which means first constructor values are already available in F1 object. These values are directly sent to F2. Now, when the compiler executes this statement, control will switch over to execute this constructor. Here, 399 and Roman graves values are stored in another constructor. Now f price and f name sent to local variables. Then compiler will execute these two SOP lines. These two SOP lines are helpful to display what are the contents copied from first constructor to second constructor. Now we call second constructor. Here second constructor is also having the same value ruby roman graves and 399. These two values are copied from first constructor. Next concept is static data members. We can able to create static variables, static blocks, static classes. First, we create how to create a static variable. What is the use of static variable? We understand. The static variable can be used to refer to the common property of all objects. The static variable gets memory only once in the class area at the time of class loading. Suppose there are 5 different students in our class. Now all instance data members will get memory each time when the object is created. All students have their unique roll number and name. So instance data member is good in such case. Here college refer to the common property to all objects. If we make it static, this field, it will get memory only once. For example, you consider this particular program. With the help of this particular program, we can able to understand what is the purpose for static variables. For example, in this program, we have two different classes are available. One is a main class, another one is a student class. This student class has two different variables: roll name, roll number, name, and college. There are three variables are available, but uh, these two variables, roll number and name, we have different roll number, we have different name in single class. But number of students, there are number of students specify in a single college. We, we create a mark list for a single college. At that time, college name is same for all student name, all student roll number means that time we create one variable as a static variable. If you want to create a variable as a static means before the variable name you specify the keyword static, immediately this variable is converted into static variable. Then here we have one constructor which is a parameterized constructor, because class name and constructor name is same. That is why it is namely called constructor. We have two different parameters, that is why it is namely called parameterized constructor. These two values, roll number and name, sent to R, and N value sent to roll number and name. We have another normal method display which is helpful to display roll number, name along with college name. When you consider, suppose if you want to access this external class inside the main class. At the time you need to create object. Student is the class name, S1 is the object name. Within a parenthesis, here I initialize two different values. One is a roll number, another one is a Alan. First student name. Here I create a second object which is helpful to initialize second student values 66 and Rajeshwari. Then when the compiler, when first object created, immediately control will switch over to execute parameterized constructor and store these two values, roll number 1 and Alan to roll number and name. And next I control will switch over to execute s1.display. s1.display, now we have the content is available for s1 is 01 and Alan. That is why 201 Alan displayed, but college name same for both Alan as well as Rajeshwari. That is why we create college name as a static variable. Suppose if you want to share some of the values commonly for number of pupils, number of items, means at the time we create variable as a static variable. Hope you all understand this program. Next concept is how to create a static method. Similarly, suppose if you want to create some of the method as a static method, means before the method name we can specify static keyword. By default in Java, main method is specified with static keyword. Similarly, if you want to create some of the user defined method, for example, here sample method is created with static keyword, means this method is converted into static method. Similarly, as similar as a static variable, static members is also share common properties. Also we can able to some of the components, some of the part, some of the piece of coding alone as a static block. Uh, there are a block of coding with a static keyword. In general, these are used to initialize static members. JVM normally executes a static block before the main method at the time of class loading. For example, when you consider this coding, here I create only one particular line as a static block. We can commonly utilize this block anywhere else. Uh, these are all the static keyword which is helpful to share common properties to number of variables, number of items. Hope you all understand some of the basic and important concepts in Java programming language, such as class and objects, constructors, constructor overloading, copy constructor, this keyword, final keyword, and static data members. Constructor, if you want to create a constructor, means class name and method name should be same. You should not specify any return type. When the object is called, immediately its corresponding constructor will be called, which save the processing time. If you want to create a copy constructor, means with the help of copy constructor concept, we can copy content from one constructor to another constructor. This keyword is helpful to understand which one is the currently created object. It can able to easily understand local variables. Final keyword is helpful to create some of the variable, class and method as a final uh, class and methods. Further we could not able to change. Static data members is helpful to share the common values properties to number of items. Hope you all understand this particular lecture. Thank you so much.